In this video, I'll be going over some of the features in the Code Canvas extension and how I use it to get a better understanding of my code and the changes I make, and even the changes that AI agents make, which is one of the reasons I built this for. First of all, what is it? It's a VSCode extension that lets you open your files on an infinite canvas and see connections between imports and exports, see your local changes and how files that were changed relate to each other. This is especially useful when reviewing changes done by AI agents. And also you can click on any token such as a function or a variable and see where it's being used throughout the codebase. In order to install it, you have to search for Code Canvas app on the VS Code marketplace. And once you install it, you can open it either through this icon here or by typing open code canvas in the command bar. Now I'm going to go over an example of how I would use it in order to get a better understanding of my code. So this is the code base for the extension itself. So for the code canvas extension, and in order to open files, you can right click on a folder or a file and click open in code canvas. This is going to open all of the files in that folder. You can use the layout algorithms here to sort them based on dependencies, based on folders. You can use the keyboard shortcuts Shift 1 through 5. This first one is a custom layout algorithm where you can control different parameters. And let's do this 500 and 500. And let's say we're trying to understand the code inside of this file node feature here. This is the code that renders our nodes on the canvas. So it's got a lot of stuff in here. In order to lay them out, I would use maybe algorithm number 2. And then if you click on a folder name, it's going to select all of the files inside of that folder. And then you can use the layout algorithms only on the files in that folder. So I'm going to go through each of the folders with Shift 1 and maybe try to lay them out in a way that makes sense for the feature that I'm looking at. So I've already gone ahead and done this earlier, and you can save canvas configurations here. So I've saved the file node. If I can just load it up, you can see now the files are laid out in a way that makes a lot more sense, and we can get a clearer view of all of the features and also how they relate to each other as well as to the main component. So I'm going to use this to also explain what each of them do. This is the syntax highlighting, is responsible for rendering the code that you see here. If you press V, you can control the level where the code appears. So this is the zoom here. And you see, once we go past this line, then it's going to switch to the symbols outline so that performance is maintained when you're zoomed out. But you can increase it more if you want to see the code for longer and if your computer can handle it. But I like to keep it maybe around here or so. Then let's go over here to the node toolbar. This shows when you click only on one file, and you can see how many files import this file as well as how many files are imported inside of this file. And if you option click this arrow, it's going to open the list of files, and you can click them individually to open them, or click the arrow to open all of them. And from here, you can also lay them out. Next up, let's go to our cursor position overlay. So what this does is when you can see the code, you can also click on each of these, and it's going to show you where there's references to the functions or variables that you're clicking on inside of the code base, whether it's inside of the same file or in different files. If you select a function, as you can see, it highlights the entire function body, and when you zoom out, you can see the function name, so it gives you a clearer idea of the structure of a file when you're zoomed out. If you press Z, you can also see the file names. So this gives you a bit of an overview of kind of what's inside of these file here. You can click all of the functions, see their names, and it very quickly gives you a pretty good idea of what this feature looks like. You can clear them out using Shift-C. Now let's go to this related files feature. This is responsible for toggling this panel here. So if you press R, it will show you all of the references for the token that you have selected. And if you have a function, let me just find one right here. If you have a function, you can see incoming calls and outgoing calls, as well as references, definitions, and implementations, each of them with their color that you can see here. So this is kind of what it looks like. Next up, we're going to have a look at the dependency handles. So this shows our handles for imports and exports. If you click on a import handle, you can drag it out to open that file associated with that import. Now let's have a look at the Diff visualizer. So if you option click on a file, it's going to open it in an editor to the right. And if you have any changes, then you're going to be able to see them inside of the files on the canvas. So obviously this also works for deleted lines. Just save it. If you open the diff view options, you can toggle through the different views either by pressing D or by using these buttons here. So this is the regular view, which is the same as the VSCode editor regular view. Then if you go to the unified diff view, this shows you the deleted lines as well as the added lines. And if you go to the split diff view, this separates the deletions and additions. The files are automatically updated when they get changed by Cloud Code or Cursor, and you're going to be able to see the changes immediately as the AI agents work on your code. One thing to note here is that if you have this split diff or unified diff view, you're not able to click on tokens anymore, so you can only do it while you're in the regular view. So this is the code for the entire project. When you have a lot of files open, the performance is not going to be that good. For this amount of files, it's still pretty good. But when you're zooming in on a large number of connections, then it sort of lags out pretty bad. You can toggle the connection type here by pressing B, and you can have them as straight lines or as a stepped curve or as the Bezier curve. This Bezier curve is quite slow. So if you're working with a lot of files, one of these other two might be better. You can also toggle folder names by pressing N, or you can toggle the folder visibility by pressing F. If you press G, it's gonna toggle the folder backgrounds, which gain opacity increasingly as you zoom out. Which makes it a bit clearer what the folders are so you don't get distracted by the files. Another thing you can do to get a clearer view of large amounts of files, you can use the pattern styles here. So you can use regex patterns in order to change the color or the opacity. So if I type here, let's say overlays, then it's going to select all of the folders and files that are inside of this overlay. This matches against the path of the file. So it would go like users slash projects slash code canvas slash overlays and so on. If you type, if you select this, it's going to match only against the name. So it's only files that have the name overlays like this one, symbol overlays or the folder overlays. So you can add a lot of them here with different options. So I have one here which adds colors based on the file type. So React components would be purple, then hooks would be yellow, Zoostan stores would be green, and so on. You can use just text that would get matched against the folders, or you can use regex patterns, and you can have as many of these as you want. You can reorder them, and the styles get applied in order from the last one taking the most priority and the first one taking the least priority. You can save different configurations here, and it remembers what you have selected for the current workspace, which also reminds me something I should mention. When you're opening your project, the tsconfig.json needs to be at the root folder of the workspace. So you have to open your workspace where your tsconfig file is in order to be able to see the connections between imports and exports within files. One more feature that I forgot to mention, and I think is quite important, is the collapse unchanged lines feature. If you select a file and you hit C or press this button here, it's going to collapse all of the unchanged lines in that file. So if you had some changes here, and let's then collapse this file, then it's going to keep those files. You can control the context lines around the collapsed files, around the collapsed lines from here. And if you have no file selected, then it's going to do it for all of the files. So all of them are going to be turned on or off. This is useful if you maybe want to see only a certain part of the code base as expanded file so you can read the code, but you also want the context around it to see kind of how it relates to other parts of the code. And also, it just looks really cool when you can have a look at the entire code base like this. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. And if you think you're going to find this useful, please try it out. It works with JavaScript, TypeScript, mainly focusing on React projects for now. If you have any feedback, especially bug reports, there's a link here at the bottom. What I'm trying to do with this is improve the way we read and understand code, because I feel like it's an area of the development process that takes a really long time, and considerably more so now with the rise of AI agents writing code for us and providing autocomplete. I feel like we're spending much less time writing code, but still the same amount of time reading and trying to understand it. So this is a tool that will help make this process a little bit more efficient, so we can focus on building more things faster and better as well. And I'm still working on this project, and I'll be posting updates here as well as on X. So if you're interested in following the development, subscribe or follow me on Twitter, and share this video with anyone you think might be interested in this. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.